between the Virginia Polytechnic Institute of Technology. Today, here live from Shenzhen, China.
Hello to all of the people watching on Bilibili in China. We are back for a third time, bringing you the double elimination knockout rounds leading into the semifinals and finals that will be happening tomorrow. We are so happy to be here. We've got Texas A&M going up against UW in this first bout. It's going to be a best of 3, no longer a best of 2 now. So it is going to be somewhat longer matches as the teams are now going to be doing best of 3. So that means they have to get 2 wins to make sure that they win that series. And that's going to be something to watch.
Right, that is exactly right, Matt. We are in the knockout stage of the competition. So what that means is it's kind of a double elimination style here. So teams, right now, there are 4 teams, and these 4 teams are University of Washington, Texas A&M University, New York University and Polytechnic, and Virginia Tech. We will be finishing the knockout stages today, and tomorrow we will be doing the semifinals and finals. So how that will work today is these teams need to win at least 1 total match, so win a best of 3 in order to advance to tomorrow's semifinals. So we have 4 teams right now, and 3 teams will remain by tomorrow. So 1 team will be eliminated from the competition as we started out with 7, and now we only have 4 right now. I know that's a lot of numbers, but basically, if the team you're rooting for gets a win, they are secured to go to the next tomorrow, the semifinals. If one of the teams gets 2 wins 2 best of 3s, they will go immediately to the finals in tomorrow. If that makes sense, right?
Yes, and then okay. If you lose once and win once, you will be facing off to figure out who is going to be fighting against that person who got the 2 victories and is in the finals. From the get-go, you are going to be fighting for the finals if you lose your first match, and if you win your first match, you are going to be in a position to possibly be the one to be in the finals, and right. That's going to be something to watch.
Exactly. So if you win 1 and lose 1, then you are going to the semifinals. If you lose both, that means you are eliminated, and if you win both, then you are going to the finals. That is how this will work for the knockout rounds. If you guys have any questions, please let us know in the chat, and we will be happy, very happy to answer them.
Very well said. It's very confusing sometimes whenever you got stuff like this going on, but if you need any clarification, hopefully people in the chat can help you out, and hopefully we can help you out if everybody's still confused, but I think Angel did a really good job of explaining that. And we have seen these robots before. We have seen the spin-to-win technology employed by UW, which has been absolutely devastating in the competition. It has been very interesting to see the employment of that tactic and how aggressive you can play and not really get that punished for it because you're not able to hit that armor plate nearly as easily as if it's sitting still.
Indeed, right. So we just got word from Radika in the chat there, our head referee, that the teams are almost ready for this best of 1, and it is going to be Texas A&M University, Team Aimbots, versus University of Washington, and their name is ARUW. My bad. All right. And then Steven Zeed says, hope their batteries don't die. Batteries are super important. We would not want any of these robots to have low batteries and that affect their performance. That would be really sucky. So, yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. I'm sure these teams have taken ample care to replace the batteries on all their robots.
The curtains open. The teams have 2 minutes to set up their robots, turn them on, get them configured, get them reloaded, because to pass inspection, they must be completely unloaded. So they've got a whole lot of stuff to do in a short amount of time and make sure that all the bugs are fixed out of everything that they have to do, make sure that everything's secured tightly and ready to go, as we do not want to see any technical difficulties in this match, but be that by the field or the other robots, because we want to see these 2 teams performing at their best in this one of the last stages of this competition.
And I just want to give a quick shout out to our live audience. Thank you guys so much for coming in. It means a lot to us. Guys in the audience, can you raise your hands to show everyone how cool you guys are for being here today? Everyone give a round of applause to the audience members here today. Thank you so much for showing your support. We are here with 1 minute left, everyone. 1 minute left before we start the knockout stage today. Matt, what are you most looking forward to right now from some of these teams?
we know both these sentries work, and we all know my favorite thing about this competition so far is seeing those sentries work. They are 100% autonomous, and they are the only thing standing in between the base and total defeat.
That is true, yes. I really hope that some of these teams in the knockout round will get their hero online and being able to like one-shot a standard, because we've seen so many standards be really strong and really dominating. And the hero can actually at level 1 one-shot these standards and kill them. So I'm really hoping to see some hero prowess. They haven't gotten as much love as I think they should have. All the love's been kind of going to the automatic sentries and the standard, so I'm looking forward to see some really cool hero play today.
Those hero plays, just like we were talking about earlier, that battering ram on the structure. Heroes have a 42mm projectile cannon, which is the same size as roughly a golf ball, versus the standards, and the sentries, which have a 17mm projectile cannon, and that is about the size of a paintball. So there is a large difference in the mass and volume of these projectiles, and that makes it for a big force difference whenever it hits that armor plate, and that's what registers that hit. And whenever that hit is registered on a structure on the sentry, it will do 100 damage for a 42mm projectile, and it will do 10 damage for a 5mm projectile. On that base, it will do 5 damage for a 17mm, excuse me, and it will do 200 damage for a 42mm projectile hit on that big base structure. However, you do not just have to hit the base, you have to hit in between those two LED lights that have the armor plate and the indicator of a base. That is the force sensor that you have to hit. Otherwise, does not matter if you hit that base 100 times, 1,000 times. All that matters is that you have to hit that armor plate force sensor for it to count.
Yes, just to reiterate Matt's points there, a hero will do 100 points to a sentry, it will do 200 points to a base, and a standard will do 10 points of damage to a sentry, and a standard will also do 5 points of damage to a base.
Yes, and that's a lot of damage. That is 20 standard shots per single round of the 42mm projectiles.
Oh, yeah.
If you're able to get into a good position to start melting that base, that is how you win this game.
Okay, it was really interesting because last time we saw UW here, they had an amazing standard 3 that like literally just 2v1 the entire fight. But they did, I think, 70 shots because they did 700 damage to the base. And the hero can do that in 7 shots. So I'd really like to see some epic hero action. You know, UW was kind of holding their hero off, not letting it really shoot. So maybe they were trying to keep some secrets here. And I'm sorry.
That is a tactic employed by many teams, especially in the international competition. Keeping your cards under the table is something that a lot of teams do because there's no reason to like play your hand whenever your hand does not need to be played if you are able to win with a titan of a standard unit on that blue standard 3 or that red standard 3 on this case.
And here we have a timeout, technical timeout called by UW here. They are looking to spend a couple more minutes, 2 minutes. Thank you, Radika, for letting us know about that. 2 more minutes are left in this little brief technical pause here. UW just wants to kind of fix some last little things here, make sure everything is working. Thank you guys so much for the support and chat. If you want to see UW win, if you want to see A&M win, please put some cheers in the chat.
Everybody making sure that their robots are working just fine, because what we do not want to see is a robot failure, because we want to see both these teams compete at their best at one of the highest levels in this competition, second only to the semifinals and the finals, which will be streamed tomorrow and will also be recorded and put on the YouTube channel.
Indeed they will. I believe the semifinals and the finals, their official times will be announced at the end of the day and will be updated on the official RoboMaster's website. But they're happening sometime around the morning is the rumor. So around like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or something like that. But anyway, here we are entering the kind of end of this technical pause as the engineers are slowly but surely leaving the arena and going out of the netting.
It's the anticipation building. That's all it is.
Indeed it will be. I'm really excited for this. I think both these teams have fully functioning all of their robots, fully functioning every single robot.
I think that's how it is for every team in this knockout series. All teams having 3 robots on the field. We have seen NYU
And Polytech,
Polytech having a sentry, while it does not have a turret, it still moves, and that proves to be a very difficult target to hit, especially if you're able to defend it with your ground robots. It does not matter if you don't have a turret, because you can just make sure that you employ that in your tactics, and that will still allow you to come out on top.
That is a very good point. NYU Polytech is at a slight disadvantage in this 4-team bracket because their sentry does not have the capability to fire projectiles. So it'll be interesting to see in the next best of 3 match when we have Polytech versus Virginia Tech on how they will cope against that strategy.
Absolutely. What strategies are you seeing employed? We have not really had an established meta in this entire competition. Every team has kind of done their own thing because it has been a whole lot of just different strategies, different robot configurations, different robots on the field, different speeds at which the robots are able to shoot, and the different accuracies. What do you think we're going to see in this first match?
I think we have not seen a meta emerge, actually, just because all these teams have been trying to figure out how to field their robots and what the strengths of their teams are. But now that we enter these knockout stages where everyone has a fully established robot that can shoot and do everything like that, you know, we'll actually see. I'll talk about that later as we are heading into our very first match of the knockout round.
This is going to be super exciting as the referee system is booting up for its final self-check before the match. The first elimination match begins, and here's that countdown in 3, 2, 1, and we are off. Both teams being very cautious, not wanting to give up that first blood, because that is one thing we have seen, is that if you give up that first blood and you die in a bad spot, it is not a good situation for you.
Just to remember here, the side of UW is on the red team, and the side of the blue team is Texas A&M University. Both teams, like you said, are taking a cautious approach, using those barricades. No one is actually claiming the center. Both teams are just mad respect for here. Right here, they recognize the importance of not dying early and giving an early lead to their opponent.
UW making a push with Red Standard 3, pushing down the lane, getting up in the TAMU RoboMaster's face.
Lots of bobbing and weaving
taking
here.
A whole lot of damage because of that spin to win technology. They are actually able to evade a lot of the damage, even though there's a lot of.
Ooh, Standard 3 tries to pour out some damage on the hero here.
That hero is a little bit of a large target.
Ooh, the hero
that
fires.
Hero on the TAMU team is now dead from that Red Standard 3. Red Standard 3 bursting Blue Standard 3. He needs to get out of there and let that sentry
here
do its
comes
work.
the sentry,
Blue sentry
firing
is now
away.
firing at that red hero, taking a lot of damage and having to pull back a little bit.
Lighting them up indeed.
There's a whole lot of
That
sentry fire going on.
Pouring all of its
is able
damage.
to push back the Red Standard 3, giving Blue Standard 3 time to revive as it was taken down right underneath that sentry. What a perfect spot to die in, because you are easily able to be revived and be protected.
Wow.
WU
indeed.
going back, getting ammo because they just shot a ton of rounds, turning this arena into a children's playground of a bunch of bouncy balls all over the arena.
Oh my goodness, it looks like Standard 3 is having some trouble on the side of TAMU to come back and boot online. Shots from Standard 3 on the side of UW
Those are connecting
firing
on the
against that
TAMU sentry.
But the sentry isn't picking it up. Can it find it and shoot it and retaliate back? Yes, it does. It finds its target and is shooting back at the Standard 3, but not without sacrifice. It has taken around more than half of its HP here. Let's see if TAMU can retaliate on their sentry here before UW Standard is going back into the fight.
That's going to put UW in the lead. UW also having control of the middle, using their hero to get a med pack. That is going to enable them to be able to heal very quickly. That is going to knock Blue Standard 3 offline very quickly, as the sentry is almost dead on the TAMU side. On the blue team, that is going to be very close. Very little health left, and that's knocked offline.
Wow.
That is going to put UW in a very comfortable position here, as they have the health buff that they're able to go back and get much more health. They have the level advantage, meaning that they have increased cooling, health, and chassis power as well. That is going to help them a lot as they are going to be trying to push into this base. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left. There is still a whole lot that can go on in this match. Will we see a base finish?
We see a confrontation here again with the hero and Standard 3. Standard 3 is chasing that TAMU hero down. He's trying so hard to outmaneuver him to look for an ample opportunity to fire. But here comes Standard 3 wailing down here on the base here.
We got an excellent first-person point of view. He's throwing that barrel heat as that is now engaging the blue standard or the blue hero 1, and that is knocking the blue hero 1 offline very quickly.
Both Standard and Hero. That is a double kill. Double kill on the side of Texas A&M University. Let's see if they can get back revived and do their best here to come back in it. UW is pushing up again, regaining the position here and setting up.
That mid control giving them that health buff once again. That way they have another med pack to be able to use whenever they go back and try to heal if they take any damage during this skirmish for that base. They seem to be wailing on that base, as we were able to possibly see a point of view of that.
Standard
And that's
3 on
going
the
to be a
side.
yellow card for bumping into that blue standard 3 that is sitting underneath that sentry.
Oh, but
you
here
see that
comes
barrel
that
heat as
rapid fire.
is so quickly heating up.
You know that they have spec'd all into that firing speed and barrel speed and rapid rate of fire here, as it is just pelting that blue base down.
Excellent
500
job
damage
from
already
UW,
down.
pushing the advantage and getting a substantial lead on TAMU. They're going to have to do a lot to be able to come back in this first round.
Wow,
50
it
seconds
looks-
left. They're going to have to do a lot very quickly. Not only just a lot.
Oh, it looks like Standard 3 has been knocked out of commission here. It might have been because of yellow cards. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it was a stray hero shot. But nonetheless, it is with 30 seconds left on the clock. It is the hero versus hero matchup here. Let's see if they can take control here. They've got the levels. Both are evenly leveled here. 3v3, level 3 on level 3 here. Let's see what they can do. There's some confrontation in the middle here.
20 seconds left and a whole lot of damage needed to be done to structures to be able to tie this game up and be able to give TAMU a chance
Oh, wow.
to be able to
Here
redeem
comes
themselves.
TAMU's hero. Let's see what he's going to do here with 15 seconds left on the clock. He just needs to go for that sentry, man. He needs to go for that sentry and pick up some damage if he's going to come into this here.
UW knows that, and that's why they are using that hero to defend that sentry with all they've got, and that's going to be a red team victory quite decisively.
Wow.
Very good job and very action-packed match.
Oh my goodness gracious. What a match, Matt. That was absolutely phenomenal to watch. Great effort put out by both teams. Once again, we saw the indomitable Standard from the side of UW just take control of that entire game, getting kills left and right and pouring tons of damage onto that base. You know, you would think that the hero would be the star of the show, as it is named Hero, but the Standard, I don't know, man. The Standard on their team looks like the real hero to me.
I would totally agree with that statement, as that Red Standard 3 was ripping across the arena, doing its 360 motion, that Beyblade motion that we have seen, that spin to win tactic that makes it very, very hard to hit whenever it is moving and those armor panels are moving, and it's very hard to just even see where you need to shoot to hit that. As long as you basically kind of just got to shoot center of mass. If you're one of those drivers, that is a difficult shot to make. It is also very difficult for the sentry to be able to recognize those armor plates and also be able to hit them while that thing is moving in that Beyblade formation.
Indeed, yeah. We saw a tough matchup here for Texas A&M. Unfortunately, you know, they came out when they were trying their best, but they at times got double killed, and I don't think they were ever able to get that blue Standard back into the repair zone after it died there.
It looked like that blue Standard did shut offline as soon as it died that first time, just showing again how costly that first death can possibly be. If you get stuck in a bad spot, it is pretty bad, because UW was pushing that advantage of having one man on the TAMU team down whenever they knocked off that Standard 3, but they were able to just shoot at that sentry, and that's only a really quick angle down to be able to shoot back at that barely revived, very low health Standard 3, and then look straight back up and keep shooting at that sentry as they knock that sentry offline very, very quickly.
You know, I was really thinking here that, you know, I was thinking about some of the ways that TAMU could get back into this, and one of the things I was thinking about was that, you know, they know that Standard, UW Standard, is the highlight of their team, you know. They know that that is the trump card of their team. If they want to appropriately deal with it, I really think that the hero and the Standard are going to have to team up on the side of Texas A&M. Maybe if the hero isn't accurate enough, maybe it can act as a meat shield, as a body shield to protect it, the Standard, to allow it to deal damage. Or maybe the Standard could distract it and the hero could come up behind it and then boop, one shot and then kill it.
One tactic we've seen in the 7v7s is that they use the engineer robot, which is not present in this 3v3 matchup, but the engineer robot I would equate to the hero in the sense of how big the robots are. You're allowed to make your hero a lot bigger than your Standard, and those armor plates are the only thing that matter if you're actually doing damage. So if you're able to just get in front and body block and just take shots that aren't hitting those armor plates and take those favorable engagements, that is what will put you ahead in this competition. But that first round going to UW, I think UW just needs to do pretty much the same thing they just did because I don't know if there's a whole lot they need to change. They had very good control of the middle. They had very good communication to know when they needed to push and when they needed to fall back to get some ammo. That hero would posture defensively to be able to protect their standard, as that standard rushed back to get a whole bunch more ammo, because that thing was flying through rounds so fast.
It was indeed. And I think, you know, as we go on into these next games, this is a best of 3, by the way, so there are at the very least one more match coming up. You know, we're going to be talking a lot more about strategy for these different teams, because they do have all these operational robots. They can move, they can shoot, and therefore they are a playable unit in this game. And so we're going to talk a lot about strategy and how these teams can best use the cards, the hypothetical cards that they have, in order to have the best success here. And, you know, if, you know, the ball is basically in Texas A&M's court. If they're able to deal with UW's standard, they have the best chance of winning right now. If they are not able to deal with that pressure, then it looks like it's going to be a 2-0 for them.
Absolutely agree. One thing that is to note, each time a robot dies and it gets knocked offline, it has a 5-second like extra added to the death timer of the revive. So if you're able to just spawn kill one of those robots as it's coming back online, you can effectively make that timer very long, and very much long enough to do something to that sentry without the encroachment of those other infantry units if you knock them out enough.
Indeed, indeed, that is very true. You know, both of these teams have done an excellent job thus far, and I'm really excited for this next round that we have coming up. I'm really curious to see how these pilots from the side of both teams are going to go into this next round. You know, we saw both of them being extremely cautious coming out of the gate. Almost for 30 seconds, we just had a standoff where no one wanted to go into the regeneration buff. You know, I don't think it's about being cautious in the beginning before. Like, yes, an early death costs a lot, but it's about how you counter it. I mean, you can play safe and not engage in the middle for as long as you want, but you know, you're gonna have to deal with UW's problem, which is their standard.
Absolutely, and that thing, as it just showed, was very mobile. It can get places it needs to go very fast, very efficiently, and very safely, as it is able to spin while moving. That is something that we have not seen a whole lot of in this competition so far.
Indeed, yeah, and that spinning, that spin to win, as we call it, motion, makes it so difficult for that standard to be killed in combat. And even when you do kill it, it revives, and it's going to be just as hard to kill it, even with that sliver of health. I do want to point out though that the Sentry from A&M has done an excellent job thus far of defending itself. The turrets actually get, they have a life leech mechanic, so that when they deal damage and inflict damage points onto other robots, enemy robots, they will actually gain some of that health back that they deal. I think utilizing the Sentry, the hero maybe as a meat shield or as like an insta-KO kill on that standard, and then using the standard and trying to make it more of like a 3v1 is maybe the task, or the type of path that they need to go out onto in order
Absolutely.
to win.
Because that is a force to be reckoned with. Red Standard 3 can just rip across the arena anywhere it wants to very safely and just be able to dominate in this competition. And that is something that they have to be aware of by this point.
Indeed.
There is no hiding that fact.
Both teams have mostly cleared out of the gates here, as all the referees have finished clearing of the balls, and last-minute adjustments have been made here, as it is looking like we are almost about to start the match. You know, prediction-wise, you know, my mind is telling me UW has got this game, but my heart is telling me that Texas A&M can come back with that fighting ag spirit and deal with that monster of a standard unit that UW has. How do you feel, Matt? What is your brain telling you? What's your heart telling you?
My brain tells me UW currently, unless we can see some switch up from the tactics of TAMU, because they're that standard 3, man. Just like we were seeing on one of the other coalition teams that got together, one of the alliance teams, their standard 4 was insanely good, had an insanely high fire rate, and was very efficient at taking out other robots. Sadly, it was kind of efficient in taking out itself, in that it would burn itself out of barrel heat, but just the fact that it can do that is pretty impressive in and of itself. And so having like an ace card like that, just like we are seeing on the side of UW, we have not even seen UW Sentry work in action
Yeah.
yet because they have not gotten close enough to the base to be able to activate that sentry. But I feel like that will also be another force to be reckoned with.
That is another obstacle that TAMU will have to overclimb if they want to defeat UW here. We have not seen their sentry really active and online. Maybe it doesn't shoot, maybe it does. We don't actually know yet. But if it does shoot, they're going to have a really big problem. And hopefully they will be able to deal with it.
I don't know if you've seen those sentries whenever they get that target lock, but it is very terrifying. Even, I believe 2 games ago, I was able to see UW's whenever they were on the blue team. We were able to see them lock on all the way across the arena. It was very impressive.
Dang, okay. Yeah, that will be something to look out for. I think there have been some last-minute tweaks here to A&M Sentry as well, so hopefully, you know, they have it spinning right now, so we'll be able to shoot behind the base as well as in front, because I know when they were facing, I think it was Polytech, they had the problem where they would go behind their base and start shooting the sentry, but now they seem to have fixed that kind of blind spot. They fixed that kind of blind spot in their defense setup here.
All right, chat. As we are going and ticking down on that timer right before we're about to start this next match, predict who you will win, wage those channel points, see if you can be right. If you're addicted to gambling, that's also something that's fun to do because it does not cost anything.
we have, the chat has spoken, man. 300 channel points to 10K.
And that's probably in favor of UW.
Yeah, that is probably in favor of UW. So we have, I don't even want to do the math on that. That's like less than 5%. Less than 5%. I know that. So
we're all engineers, but we also have been working a whole lot, doing a whole lot. All the thankless volunteers that I just want to say big thank you to, big shout out to. They are doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes, making this entire event possible, cleaning the balls off the field, making sure the stream is running fine, making sure the audio video is running fine, making sure the event is going fine. There is so many different roles done by everyone that has taken part in this competition. And once again, we said it a whole bunch, but I can't say it enough. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to DJI for trusting us to be able to host this competition. It has been an absolute blast, and it is not over yet.
Indeed. Just to our Chinese viewers really fast. Wo ai ni, Billy Billy Sons. Really appreciate you guys for coming out here. And going back to Twitch chat here and for our North American people. Jayza says, let's see that TAMU upset. Oh yeah, I want to see that TAMU upset so bad. I want to see the true potential of these robots coming out here because, you know, we get to see them in the pit every day and they just pour in so much effort into this. Morgan tells me to get a coffee. Yeah, I wish I had a coffee right now. I'm pretty tired, and I know Matt is as well as everyone else here. We're all really tired. It's very exhausting of an event. Doug Landry asks,
happy to be here.
We are more than happy to be here.
It is so fun being here in person in College Station, Texas. You guys can come see us live whenever we are live tomorrow. Once again, we will be starting the matches pretty early in the day because we are going to have to be getting those matches done pretty quick, but that is not going to be a quantity issue because that will be so much quality packed into a short amount of time. It is going to be phenomenal to watch the semifinals and the finals as the top teams in the NA region are going to be going head to head.
Indeed they are.
It's going to be great.
Doug Landry asked in the chat, will we be able to work in a couple more team member interviews during these matches? We'll have to see how long the break is in between these matches. It's kind of up in the air here. You know, after this best of 3, if there is some time, we will try to get some of those in, maybe with some of the teams that have just participated, so we can kind of get their insight into how these matches went or how they will go. But that is all up in the air, and it depends on how fast we can get the ball moving on these best of 3 matches.
Here's that ref system starting up as we are just about to move into this next match. Here we go. Second round, best of 3. If UW is able to take this, they will be a winner in the first round of elimination.
And
here we go.
We have both robots coming out of the gates for both teams here. Once again, TAMU is on the blue side and UW is on the side of the red team. Here, both teams playing cautious again, not controlling that central buff, afraid of each other's robots' capabilities. Their projectiles are very strong. The hero comes out for the side of UW as well as the standard. We see a lot of shots coming out from that sentry. Damage is poured out onto that hero here. TAMU's standard kind of tries for a flank here to pour in some damage here, but a lot of damage has been poured into that hero here with only like 20
being
HP.
Activated. Sentry taking a couple of shots at Red Standard 3 as Red Standard 3 falls back behind cover to regroup with his hero. Hero taking control of the
Hero
middle
dies
Red
here.
Standard 3. Red Standard 3 knocks Hero offline for the blue team. That is going to be a pretty big thing. We'll see if that Sentry's able to target that red. And he is. He's taking damage and that Hero's right there. He might want to be able to back off.
That Red Standard is pouring lots of damage into the Sentry, but Standard number 3 on the side of TAMU was able to push him back just a little bit. He didn't take that much damage, though, because he was spinning, and it's so hard to hit those armor plates while a robot is spinning here.
Absolutely. Here we go. They're getting a refill on that ammo. That really cool actuation of that closing cap on the top of that Red Standard 3 as it is pushing right back into that spot that it has been sitting in a lot of the game.
He's chasing him down. He's going to laser him as best as he can here. Blue Hero still trying to regain some health here and be refilled here as there comes the laser down as Blue Standard is forced to retreat for a little bit. But here he comes. Standard 3 wrapping around, trying to deal with that hero actually. And he wraps around the side of the map, trying to run away from Standard 3. I love this idea of separating himself from the Standard while also trying to deal hero damage. But
looks like that
unfortunately,
blue hero just died from barrel heat as we just saw on the first-person camera there.
Yeah, Blue Hero has died for a second time this match, which bumps up the levels to 3 and 2 for the side of UW here. So they are going to have increased fire rate and increased movement right now. We see lots of shots coming out here.
A lot of shots on that Sentry. That is going to be putting Red Team in the lead once again. UW taking the lead by getting that structure damage. Structure damage is what wins you the game in this championship.
Indeed it is. We have about half damage on that on the TAMU's Sentry right now. Both robots are back online though here as we are seeing some confrontation in the middle. Blue Hero trying to do his best here to deal some damage. All robots are pretty healthy right now. TAMU's robots are a little bit unhealthy as here comes the damage pour. And hopefully,
and that's Blue Hero knocked offline again. Once again by the Red Standard 3, the true MVP. He is level 3. That level advantage really playing a big part in a lot of his victories.
Oh
in his
my
ones.
goodness, he just gets
absolutely
lasered
melts.
down. That is a double kill for the side of UW as he's now trying to attack that Sentry unit. Sentry trying his best, trying to locate him, but that's Standard. He's just dominating, man. The hero here looking to damage the other hero. The hero's having a little scuffle here, trying their best. We get a refill on that Red Standard here, and it is going to come back into the match with a vengeance.
Absolutely, as we've seen this Red Standard 3 being the real MVP, as that Red Hero is just dominating that middle area, taking control and making sure that he can support that Red Standard 3 and give him the health packs to be able to go back and heal after he takes these engagements and be able to heal any damage that is done, even though that seems to be pretty minimal with this spin tactic. Looks like the Sentry is fighting the Standard.
Wow, there comes the damage pour. Once again, there's a yellow card issued to one of the members, but here comes that damage pouring out onto that Sentry turret. It is so close to death right now. It's got barely just a sliver of HP left.
Once again, Red Standard 3 retreating with barely any health loss. He only has to probably go back for more ammo because he is just absolutely running through his ammo very accurately, doing a lot of damage to that Sentry. That Sentry only taking a couple more shots before it's down, and that's going to be a substantial lead.
It is going to be a substantial lead as Standard number 3.
And there goes the Sentry.
Burning it down here. 600 damage just immediately destroyed here with 45 seconds left. Can Texas A&M with both their robots take back this? They need to take down that Sentry turret and somehow get past these formidable two robots from the side of UW here.
Absolutely. Red Standard 3 not letting off the gas as he is trying to pound the base from a decent way away, and he's able to not hit on this first volley. It looks like he's going to go back. 30 seconds left. That is very much enough time to be able to tie this game up if they play their cards right, but that is going to be very hard to do.
Looks like Hero from the side of TAMU and the Sentry and the Standard have been reloaded, and they're going in. They're going in for the final push here as they're trying to take down that Sentry turret. Standard number 3 is pouring as many shots as he can into that Sentry turret. Oh my goodness, will it be enough? Taking a lot of damage here. Look at that damage output there.
2 seconds
Absolutely
left. It
amazing.
does not seem like it's going to be enough, and that's going to be another victory for UW. That is going to be UW securing the first victory in the double elimination matches we have for you today.
UW takes that 2-0 lead against Texas A&M University. Great job to you, University of Washington, and great job to Texas A&M too. University of Washington will be secured into the semifinals for tomorrow. Texas A&M Texas A&M will have to win their next match if they want to reach the semifinals. Wow. Let's talk about that game, Matt.
Absolutely.
How is that? What happened between the first game and the second game that changed things up so much?
The first game, we saw both teams being very, very cautious, not wanting to give up that first blood because we know how imperative it is to not die in a bad spot. If you die in a bad spot, it is going to be a rough time to be able to come back from that. And that is not something that you want to put yourself in a deficit of if you're able to have an idea of being able to, like, oh, hey, we're just not going to put ourselves in a bad situation. We're going to try to pick our engagements good. And UW said, enough of that. We're going to charge in. We're going to start spinning, and we're going to bank on the fact that you're not going to be able to hit us. And that ended up being a pretty beneficial bet, as TAMU was not able to hit a whole lot of shots on that Beyblade as it was spinning at them very rapidly.
Indeed. Here we have the scorecard coming in to showcase all of the awesome things about UW here. We can see their damage, the remaining Century HP from that second round, as well as all the awesome players here who have come out here, developers, pilots, and things like that. So they have taken the 2-0 lead, and it was done in 2 rounds, and that standard really is the MVP once again. They did a total of over 1,000 damage in each round. And like you said, it was really hard for A&M to be able to actually deal damage to their robots. And when you can't kill the opposing team's robots, it kind of just gives them free reign to do whatever they want. And that's exactly what that UW standard wants. He just wants to get in there and laser down the Sentry, the other robots, and the base.
Absolutely. Not to mention the great communication on the side of UW. As soon as robots were falling, they were moving into much more offensive and beneficial positions for them, pushing their advantage, making sure that they were staying on top and keeping the pressure on the entire match, not allowing a rebound from Texas A&M, which could very well have happened if they had been able to knock that Red Standard 3 offline. But Red Standard 3, like you were saying, the real MVP, but I don't think we can discount the effort of the hero. That hero sitting on that med pack area allowed them to be able to go back and heal very, very quickly, get straight back into the action pretty much as they're reloading. That way they don't have hardly any downtime as they're just going back and shredding these robots.
Yeah, one thing I really enjoyed from the side of UW's hero, I know that standard gets a lot of love, and awesome job to Derek for piloting. He does such an amazing job. But also their hero pilot too does an excellent job of zone control and vision control, and I'm sure he's calling out a lot of these things and a lot of these rotations that need to be called to give information to the UW's pilot for Standard 3. And like you said, he takes control excellently of that control buff to actually give time for his standard ally to go back and get refilled. Like, the time loss for him going back to refill was basically nothing. They just have such a great system where they're able to go really fast about it.
Absolutely. Communication in this game is very key because the only two people that are able to communicate to each other are the drivers. You are not allowed to communicate other than hand signals. As you see, whenever things are getting reloaded, people are like having thumbs up, and that's how you know they are good to go.
Yeah, it looks like the referees are just cleaning the last bit of the projectiles in the little pit, and we have the robots being wheeled out here as the official channel has let us know that the next match will be NYU and Polytech versus VT, Virginia Tech.
Absolutely. Once again, another match to watch. This is definitely, undoubtedly going to be another high-octane match that I'm very much looking forward to see. Both teams fielding 3 robots, all of which we have seen work and be very functional and very effective in this competition so far.
Well, we do have NYU who has the, I believe they do not have a turret on their Sentry. So they do have a working Sentry that moves back and forth. But once again, that is a big disadvantage coming into this match. You saw how Standard 3 on UW was able to laser and line up those shots. But at times it was being forced back by that Sentry turret. So, NYU is at a little bit of a disadvantage here, but we'll see if they can overcome that gap and how the outcome between them and VT will be.
Even in their earlier matches, we saw NYU and Poly being very conservative with the way that they were playing. They're trying to always feel out their opponents before they try to make a strong push, because they know that Sentry is vulnerable without a turret. They know that that's what they need to be there to defend. Their infantry robots are very well communicating, and they do a very good job of making sure they don't just leave that man unattended and get get melted because they know that structure damage. They have their priorities set very well, and it very much shows, and that's why they're in this qualifying match. Or not the qualifying match, this elimination match.
Indeed, that is true. Dave Kurowski says in chat, shout out to the UW pit team, Isaac, Alex, Noah, and everyone else who is in there, as well as the rest of the UW pit team. So if you're in the UW pit team, know that someone's shouting you out. We have some Hokies fans in the chat here as well, so awesome job to them. And we'll see VT this match in this best of 3.
And if you're wondering what a Hokie was, as we were whenever we first started commentating the Chinese matches and people started showing up and saying, "Go Hokies," that is actually a turkey.
That is their mascot, I believe. Their university mascot. Yes, indeed. Okay. So we have both these teams readying up outside of the 3v3 arena. And they are looking like they're communicating with the referees, setting up everything to make sure that they're allowed to come in here. Yeah. So what is going to happen here, Matt? What is going to happen here? Do you remember the strengths and weaknesses of NYU Polytech and a Virginia Tech?
For the weaknesses, as we already went over,
Yes.
NYU does not have a turret on their sentry, but they do have a sentry, and that sentry does move. A moving sentry, as we saw earlier, even against Titan teams, can hold its own and at least be able to dodge a lot of projectiles, because we have not seen CVB used to be able to guide the projectiles and have that little auto aim assist to be able to kind of help you and not necessarily make you have to focus on aiming as you're driving, especially because you're trying to dodge and dodge, duck, dip, dive, dodge, as was famously said. But we know that that's one of their weaknesses, but we also know that they know about that and they know how to counteract that, and they know exactly what they need to do to make sure that that is not a weakness that the enemy is able to exploit. VT, I don't know what kind of weaknesses they have. I don't think we've seen a whole lot of weakness from that team. They have come out very strong a whole lot of the times. Their hero doing a ton of damage. Their hero sometimes having a glitch in their gimbal system, but that's kind of been par for the course on most robots. Everybody's had 1 or 2 matches where some kind of technical difficulty has happened, but luckily that's probably been resolved because we are several matches in to this competition, and that's going to be interesting to see if they still have those prevailing issues or if they've ironed them out, which they more than likely have, just like most of the other teams here.
Yeah, indeed. Those are very excellent points, and thank you for your analysis, Matt.
I love the style too. We like that construction tape, because it's one thing we talked about this whenever we were doing the Chinese streams as well. Whenever you have you can have engineering design and you can have very good functionality and stuff like that, but it's also just icing on the cake to have that nice little aesthetic touch, and that's what VT's got with their caution tape. They've got that backwards hat on that on that hero, and that's something I like seeing a whole lot, because it just shows, that extra little design flair, that extra little style points,